a service of CNC Worldwide.
CNC podcasts are a service of CNC Worldwide, and they're brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 member companies with business solutions since 1984. City Hall is using Rochester's nuisance law to shut down a pair of East End nightclubs. One of them was the scene of a stabbing over the weekend. Mayor Lovely Warren says the Captain's Attic on Charlotte Street has accumulated enough points for the city to ask a judge to close it. They're filing the paperwork this week. And she says the city is asking the Magic City Club, where a Webster man was slashed in the arm, to voluntarily close down for an unspecified period of time. The mayor says violence seems to have progressed over the past 2 weeks at both clubs, and the city won't tolerate it. The owner of Magic City told 13 Wham he feels some of the incidents the city cites against his business are minor and that he's being targeted by people who want to shut him down. Governor Cuomo has signed New York's medical marijuana law, saying the legislation gets us the best that medical marijuana has to offer in the most protected, controlled way possible.
There is no doubt that medical marijuana can help people. It's been proven in other states. There's a whole history of information and data and research just on that topic. And we are here to help people. And if there's a medical advancement, then we want to make sure that we're bringing it to New Yorkers.
The state health department says it'll take about a year and a half to get the program up and running. That includes licensing doctors to issue marijuana prescriptions, licensing growers and processors who will turn the plant into a legal form, plus the distribution system. Patients will need a prescription for one of the numerous ailments covered in the law. They don't get to smoke the marijuana. They take it as pills, oil, or through a vaporizer to get the active ingredients. The Appellate Division of State Supreme Court has thrown out the lawsuit by neighbors of Northampton Park against moving the Monroe County Fair into the park. The county legislature and the Monroe County Fair and Recreation Association moved the fair to Northampton last year after the former site in Henrietta was no longer available. 7 nearby residents filed suit. The state Supreme Court judge ruled they had no standing to sue. Now the mid-level appeals court agrees. Both courts say the complainants failed to show that they were harmed more than anybody else by moving the fair. The neighbors had wanted to air what they call a backroom deal to move the fair without public input. Rochester's Memorial Art Gallery has a new director. University of Rochester President Joel Seligman and the MAG's board of directors have introduced Jonathan Binstock, who comes to the Rochester Gallery from New York City. Binstock was a senior president and advisory in modern and contemporary art for City Private Bank's Art Advisory and Finance Group. Seligman says he has a wealth of experience in major museums and a vision for engaging art lovers of all ages. And Binstock replaces Grant Holcomb, who retired last week after almost 30 years in Rochester. We've received some calls and questions about this group of white government trailers parked on the site of the former Ponderosa restaurant in Greece. Well, it turns out they're from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and they're in Rochester as part of the CDC's research programs that collect data on the state of Americans' health. We found out they're mobile offices and a clinic, and they travel to a number of cities this summer as part of the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, known as NHANES for short. Sometimes you see a headline that says something like cigarette smoking among U.S. high school students at lowest level in 22 years, or more than 29 million Americans have diabetes, to quote just a couple of recent CDC news releases. Well, NHANES is one of the main ways the CDC finds this stuff out. The mobile units travel to designated communities, and they survey rates of everything from anemia to vision problems. They also collect data from doctors, hospitals, and nursing homes. They interview randomly selected patients who are willing, and they give them a physical in those mobile clinics. Camp Good Days and Special Times in Branchport back open for business, welcoming campers Monday for the first time since the flash flood hit 2 months ago. Volunteers and donations came in, and cabins were cleaned or gutted and rebuilt as necessary. They still have more to do and more to replace, but founder Gary Mervis says in his video blog they are open for their 35th season, and they'll stay open late into November to accommodate the programs that had to be shoved back because of the damage. Senator Chuck Schumer says he is pushing to name the new Veterans Cemetery planned for Western New York after Wild Bill Donovan, the man who founded and led America's intelligence operations in the Second World War. Donovan was born to Irish immigrant parents in Buffalo. He served in both world wars, and he is still the only American ever to win all 4 of the nation's highest U.S. military honors. He organized the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, which eventually became the CIA. Schumer made the announcement while leading officials from area veterans organizations on a tour of the new cemetery site in Genesee County. He also says he's already pushing to have Veterans Affairs buy a 60-acre parcel of land that's for sale next door, so the cemetery has room for future expansion. It's at Pembroke, about halfway between Buffalo and Rochester. Your next CNC podcast is whenever you click on one of these pages and catch one. We post updates as necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.